Welcome, everyone. We are really excited that everyone's jumping on today. We've got lots and lots of people on today. Really excited for the ISC West recap. The trade show was awesome in Vegas. If you were there, you know how amazing it was and how many people were there. If you didn't get a chance to go, we're hoping to be able to show you a few things here in the event that will allow us to be able to show a little bit about what we shared, some of the press releases, give more detail, and give you a chance to ask some questions. So we're very excited about all that. Now, before we get jumping into the content, we do want to do a little bit of housekeeping. For those that are wondering, yes, this is being recorded and you will be able to watch it later on our YouTube channel. We'll put a link in the chat to that YouTube channel if you don't already have a subscription there, and you could subscribe and then hit that little bell notification so you can be notified when new videos come out. Webinar recordings, new marketing videos, technical training videos, all sorts of great content come out on that YouTube channel, and it's really great to be able to subscribe to that so you can be updated on those when they arrive. So that the video of this recording here will be posted hopefully later on today. If not, that'll be tomorrow. And anyone who joined in today will also get a link to that in the follow-up email that we'll send out as well. So be watching for that. Second, want to make sure that you have a chance to participate today. We definitely don't want anyone to go unnoticed. We want to make sure that the questions that you have, the comments that you make are all there. I'm already seeing people making comments and questions or posting things in the chat. I can see Adam's on, Kenneth is on from Safeguard in Security Wakula. Is that how you say that? I don't even know where that is. Frank, good to see you again, buddy. I'm glad you're here from Yorktown Alarm and Lock. If you are here and want to say hello, we'd love to know where you're calling in from. Chop in there. Find the GoToWebinar chat function or question and answer section, and just drop a little note. Looks like Wolfgang from Germany, Joe in Mississippi, Eric in Quebec, Bobby is here, Chris is here in Toronto, Pat, Michael, so many great people. So really appreciate all of these. We also have 3 really great people on the line today that are going to be helping with our chat and questions, because there are so many people on today. We want to make sure that all of your questions and comments are addressed. So we've got Whitney White, our Director of Marketing for North America, Mark Bateman and Nathan Anderson, Technical Account Directors, that will be here answering your questions in the chat. So if we can't get to it as part of the presentation today, they'll be able to respond to it right away in there. So make sure you say hello to them, and they're managing that chat for us today. Again, we've got a very packed agenda, so I want to jump in real quick with some poll questions. They're going to help us understand the audience that we're talking to, and what kind of situation you're in today, and help us make sure that we really tailor the webinar content to you. So the first question is, are you currently installing IQ Panel 4? We know quite a few people were installing IQ Panel 2. Maybe IQ Panel 4 is a new product for you. Maybe you started out with IQ Panel 4, but two options there, either yes or not yet. And it looks like the majority says that they're already installing IQ Panel 4. So thank you for that. Really do appreciate your business, appreciate everything. We hope you love IQ Panel 4. And if you've got time or the desire, we'd love to hear a quick testimonial or comment about why you love IQ Panel 4. Put that in the chat. Maybe your comment or question will make it onto a future social media post or marketing piece. I'm going to go ahead and close that poll and ask the next one. The next one is, are you currently using PowerG sensors? And it's either yes or not yet. We assume that everyone will one day start using PowerG sensors. PowerG is amazing technology using the industry's best long-range wireless security and life safety technology, and we're going to be doing some more things with that in the future, which we're very excited about. But it also has the ability to automatically adjust if interference comes in. So it really provides a fantastic way to protect your sensors against hacking, against interference, against a lack of performance, but also adding in that amazing range that allow you to use it instead of wires in almost any situation. And we hear, especially in a commercial environment, we hear people all day, every day telling us stories about how they didn't rent a scissor lift, they didn't run conduit, they didn't pull wire, instead they put a PowerG sensor, and they are saving money, they're improving quality of service, and overall the installs are just going so much better. So thank you for everyone using PowerG already. The next question is, if you look at your business and sales since January, would you say that your business is up from the previous year, the same as the previous year, or is it down from the previous year? Curious to know how things are going. Are you trending upward? Are you trending downward? Just your business in general, the sales you're doing, the marketing you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And then a follow-up question to that, we'll give you another second to answer that. But the follow-up question for that is going to be talking about the aspects of your business, whether they're up or down. So let me ask you that one now. So if you said that your business was up, and choose all that apply here. If you said your business was up versus previous year, would you say that it's residential or commercial or both that's up? Again, if you answered that your business is down from the previous year, don't answer this poll question. But if you said your business was up, would you say it's more residential or more commercial that's up from that previous year? Thank you again for everyone jumping in on these polls. This is really helpful information to help us make sure that we are tailoring our conversations the right way. If you said your business was down versus the previous year, again, oh, this is supposed to be a choose all that apply. Darn it. Hold on a second. Don't answer that one. I'm going to close that poll real quick because I'm going to fix the poll question because it looks like I didn't do it as a choose all that apply. Let me ask this other question instead while I'm fixing that. So approximately what percentage of your business is commercial versus residential? Are you 100% commercial? Maybe 75% commercial, 50%, 25%, or maybe you're 100% residential. Curious to know what your split is. And again, it might not be exact, but give us your approximate so that we can make sure that that we get an idea of what kind of business you're dealing with here. And I'm fixing that other question so we can make sure we add that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. Wow, it looks like it's very interesting that the 50-50 split is the ruler on this one. That's interesting results there. And then I've got two more poll questions, but I want to see if I can ask this other one again. The one that yeah. So if you'd answered if your business is down versus the previous year, is it residential or commercial that's down? So this is allowing us to understand what part of your business. And we've got a lot of solutions that we'll be sharing today, press releases that came out that are tying into residential, that are tying into some of those solutions that could help you raise your business up. We want to understand if that's an area that you're looking for. If your business is down in commercial, we've got some solutions that, again, could help you there. We want to make sure we touch on those. And if your business is up, we've got some ideas of things that you can do to expand that business and continue to get the momentum that you're getting there. So thank you again for taking the time to do that poll. Two more questions. So appreciate everyone's patience here. This is great information. So choose all that apply here. What is your primary reason for truck rolls? Would you say they are Wi-Fi related issues? Would you say that they are sensor issues? Would you say they're upgrades? And again, this is your primary reason. This is a choose all that apply. But if you could choose one of these, that would be your primary reason. Choose one. If you say that, maybe it's a tie between Wi-Fi and sensor issues, you could choose them both. But what's the primary reason for your truck rolls? And if it's something else, maybe it's not Wi-Fi sensor issues or upgrades or customer service type requests, then put your answer in the chat. We'd love to hear what that reason is. We as you probably know, we take customer feedback very seriously. We're always listening to the things that are causing you heartache, the cause that are costing you money, the things that are making it hard for you to do business. And we know that truck rolls, especially unnecessary truck rolls, is a big part of that. And we've got some ideas of things that we'll share today. We're always listening and trying to learn so we can do those more. A lot of the impacts and improvements we made for not impacts, but the improvements we made on IQ Panel 4 were specifically to answer some of those reasons. And we believe and hope that we're doing well with that. And we want to continue to get your feedback on that. Okay. And I think that was all of my polls. So I think that was it. So a lot of information there. Thank you again, everyone, for doing that. And I want to introduce, you probably already know him, but Kevin Woodworth, our global director of technical account management. Kevin, thanks for preparing all of this webinar content today. We're really excited to talk about ISC. Tell us, how did the show go, and what awesome stuff do you have in store for our customers today?
Well, look, yeah, we had an awesome show, and we wish we could have seen everybody there, but we know that's not always possible. You have lives and businesses to run, and not everybody can make it to Vegas. And so our goal here today is to give you a little bit of a taste of what we showed and how it went, so that in the event that you missed it, you can kind of catch up. We showed a lot of really great things there. First, we kicked off. If you've never been to our kickoff party before, this is something we try and do every year. We had a great kickoff party over at the Wynn at Club XS to start it off Tuesday night at ISC West. And again, if you've never been to this, or if you're coming next year, be sure to make this event. It's a great way to start the week. We had an awesome booth space. Jeremy, maybe tell us a little bit about the booth and all that went into that.
We worked really hard to really showcase how our products fit certain verticals, fit certain areas of your business. If you are, working in the health industry and you're trying to do things for maybe aging in place or wellness type installs, what are the solutions we have for that? SMB and commercial was a massive, massive push for us this year. We understand some of the amazing things that people are doing in commercial, and we're trying to innovate in that space right now. We had a lot of really great new products to showcase. In that, we'll talk about many of those today. As we look through and had, met with customers and talked about the various solutions, we tried to depict those in a way that really helped you understand what the product was and how to apply it. It's not just like, hey, we've got a product and it has this many zones, but how can you talk to your customer about it? What does this actually do for your customer? What kind of impact does it have on your customer? So we think we did very well with the look and feel of the booth. We'd love to hear from you if you were at ISC, what you thought of our booth. Was it confusing? Was it awesome? Somewhere in between. Again, we think we did a good job with it, but we're always looking for feedback.
Yeah, and it was packed, right? I was really impressed. We weren't quite sure, I think, coming out of the last 2 years, what ISC West would be like. Would it be a return to normal? And I would say that it was very close to that. We had great presence and really enjoyed speaking with everybody there during the week and showing you all of our new products. So with that, we're gonna dive right into these individual products. We announced a lot of new things at the show. Some things you may have already seen, some things we already announced, but we were able to develop a little bit further, and a lot of other things that were absolutely brand new and will be coming out over the next 6 months. And so we're going to kind of go through those product by product by product and talk a little bit about each one. Again, today we've got a lot of content to cover in about 45 minutes left here. We're going to try and make it through all that. So today will be kind of a high level overview of what we showed, some of the products we're talking about. And if you have questions, be sure to chat those in. Like Jeremy said, we've got guys standing by that can answer specific questions. And then what you'll see from us over the next few months is more dedicated webinars on each of these products as they come out or as we get closer, where we can kind of do a deep dive on them. So today will be a little bit high level, but hopefully it'll give you a good feel for what we showed and what we talked about. So the first product I want to talk about is actually what we call IQ Beam or IQ Photoelectric Beams. This is an all new device. It's actually available now. And if you're familiar with photoelectric beams today in the marketplace, they've historically been hardwired devices. So you're usually you're on top of a fence post, they're covering a gate opening or an entrance, they're protecting a perimeter. And that's always been a hardwired device historically. So something you had to trench a line for, run wires, pretty costly. So this is a very, very unique device. And again, technically available. You may have attended a webinar. We've had a couple webinars about this device already, but ISC West was the first time we were really able to kind of show that in a more public forum. And so just a really, really unique device, being that it uses PowerG, that it's a wireless photo beam. So all the benefits of PowerG with range and battery life and encryption and frequency hopping and everything you love about PowerG in a wireless photo beam, perimeter detection with active infrared, and a really easy way to kind of align those and get those set up and working. And again, that's something that's actually available now and that we had previously announced, but we were able to kind of show at ISC West. Jeremy, anything to add on photo beams at all?
When I look at the photo beam, I really like it's a very niche market. It feels like if you know what the photo beam is, then you know how awesome it is that we added PowerG to it. I'm very curious to hear from our audience if they're using photo beams, if adding PowerG to it really makes that installation process easier. And we are actively looking for a customer who's willing to do a case study with us and a testimonial about the photo beam. So please, if you're using this and you see value in it, we'd love to talk to you. Put it in the chat.
Perfect. All right, so that was a quick overview there. And again, we've done some other overviews in the past on that. Hopefully you've had a chance to attend those webinars. You can find out more information on our website on qualsys.com. there's already a page there. It's up and running, and you can get more
And
information.
Whitney will put the link to that page and the webinar that we did in the chat so that you guys can all grab it if you need it. And we'll put it in the follow-up email as well.
All right. So the second device that we wanted to highlight here today that we showed at ISC West is IQ Lockdown. Now, again, I'm hoping you all have seen IQ Lockdown before. We did a webinar, one of our technical workshop series a couple of weeks ago, just ahead of ISC West. We kind of had a special on this where we showed you how to mount it. We talked about a lot of the use cases, but IQ Lockdown is a really unique device, really designed for commercial security, different types of doors, schools, businesses, places of worship, doctor's offices, safe rooms, cash rooms. It's a device that mounts on top of the door, similar to a door closer a little bit, but it's 10 times stronger than a door lock. You could think of it a little bit like access control, but it's wireless. It's Z-Wave based, so it's easy to install, easy to pair to a panel. Again, we're not going to get into detail on IQ Lockdown today, but I hope that you've seen this from us before, and I hope that you've learned a little bit more about it. Really, really unique device in the marketplace today. There's really nothing else like that out there. And if you have questions on IQ Lockdown, be sure to reach out to us and let us know. Again, this is something that's available today, so you can.
And we'll put links in the chat for to look at the previous webinars and the web pages we built about that, and then the assets that we built for that. I think one of the things most interesting to me about IQ Lockdown is how many of you talked to us at ISC and said, "Oh, could I use it for this?" And it's not just a really simple 20-minute install, like really strong, great solution, but it's the variety of things. If you look at a device, it's like, oh, that's going to be for schools. If there's an active shooter, you put it in, in schools, and you press with one button, you can press and lock all the doors. But there's just so many other applications that you guys are like, hey, I'm looking for a solution that'll lock a certain area, and I don't want to have to pull a full, put a full expensive access control system in. Could this work for this one case? Yeah, absolutely. You want to put it on a storage closet to protect a room? Absolutely. And at the cost it is and how easy it is to install, it becomes a really, really useful piece of material in your tool belt. So very excited to hear stories about these. Again, we're also actively looking for testimonials and case studies on these. So, get us involved and let us know if you're using this, because we'd love to participate.
Yeah, in fact, some of you we've actually pulled into certain opportunities. We get opportunities that come our way all the time, and of course we partner with you on those. So many of you may have already gotten pulled into other opportunities out there in the marketplace today, depending on where you're located. I'm thinking of one we did recently where we partnered with a dealer on a Jewish school system where they wanted to actually lock down the gym. There was 4 doors, a panel, and the gym was kind of their safe room. We've partnered with some of you on religious facilities. Again, another Jewish synagogue in Texas that we've been working on, where the security guard wanted to walk around with the PowerG key fob and be able to lock down 8 doors remotely from his key fob if needed. So just a really cool device. I love that
idea, like using a key fob with one button, you instantly lock down everything, and you could do that from anywhere on the facility because PowerG will reach anywhere on the facility. So such great examples of how we're taking products and combining the technologies together. You're taking Z-Wave, you're taking PowerG, you're combining it together with the combination of the IQ panel to connect it all together, and it just makes an awesome solution for so many different applications.
So Lockdown was a big success at ISC West, and in fact, we even had to display a big metal commercial door with a 2-inch door frame. Yeah, that was fun. We had that out in the hallway. A lot of you guys got to see that in action, or those that were there got to see that in action and kind of test the strength of that and see how that worked in practice. And then of course water valve, again, another device that we've launched. It's been out there for a little while. We're starting to hear a lot of really good stories from you guys about water valve, about keeping it on the technicians' trucks, about using it for upsells, about how once you upsell a water valve, you're then able to sell, it comes with 2 PowerG flood sensors or 3 S-line flood sensors. And then the stories you're telling us are, hey, the first 2 flood sensors covers your water heater and your dishwasher. But then I'm able to sell additional flood sensors for your washer and dryer, your toilets, your sinks, et cetera, et cetera. And so just hearing really great success stories about the IQ water valve. Again, we've had a lot of different webinars about this. It's something you can buy today in either one of the two kits, installs in 30 seconds, no plumber required. And so we were able to, again, kind of showcase that there at ISC West. And one of the things we did at ISC West is we actually had it mounted on a valve on the demo wall, and we had a little cup of water, and we had written an alarm.com rule, of course, where when you drop the probe in the water, then the panel goes into alarm and the valve actually shuts. We heard stories about how many of you have had issues with water in your own homes or in customer homes, where they got a notification that their flood sensor went off, but that they were 30 or 40 or 50 minutes away across town, and by the time they got back, a lot of
damage.
Yeah, they don't have to be on vacation, right? They don't have to be out of the country. They don't have to be gone overnight. Maybe they're just 30 minutes across town, but in 30 minutes, a lot of water damage can happen. And so having that water valve in place, would have saved them a lot. So
my one lament with this product is that so often customers only want it after they've had a flood. And if we can do a better job at marketing this and say, let's put one in every single home, I think we could prevent more floods than anything else. Think about the great stories your customers will have when they said, hey, look, I had a leak, and instead of that leak becoming a lake, the IQ water valve shut it down. Thank you so much. Think of the referrals you'll get when your friends tell you, when they have that experience about it and they tell all their friends about it. So, if you can work with our marketing team to really create a marketing push, whether that's on social, whether that's, in an email campaign to your existing customers, or implement that into your sales pitch, I think it could really do some great work. I saw stats the other day that said 100% of all basements in the United States will have a flood in their lifetime. 100%. So if 100% of those basements are going to have a flood, then 100% of their homes should have an IQ water valve.
Yep, and again, from my perspective, from the technical perspective, having been in the field a long time, having done a lot of installs, I was always looking to make extra money on upgrades as an installer. And rather than selling an extra door window or a smoke detector or something like that, I would have loved to have had something like this, in my truck that I could grab, install quickly, and really provide a large value add for the customer on top of what we were already offering. So we're hearing that as well, that a lot of our customers are starting to allow their technicians to upgrade this at the time of install. And I just love that story personally, or that angle, whether you sell it up front or sell it after the fact. I think it's something great to have as an option. So, all right. So we're kind of plugging through here, and again, this is yet another device that we've had out for a while that I know many of you love, that we were able to kind of showcase at ISC West, and that's our IQ Hardwire PowerG, or our PowerG wired to wireless module. And this device, as you guys know, has just gotten better and better over time. This really is getting into the realm of a full control panel, with Hardwire keypad support and PGMs and 2-wire smokes and COs, and just really, really robust support here. But one of the things that many of you have been waiting on for quite some time is increased zone expander support. And that's something that we just launched recently, as you know, with module firmware 1.2 and IQ Panel 4 software 4.1. So both of those are out now, where you can now add up to 4 zone expanders per module, which gives you a total of 40 zones per module, and you can have 2 modules, of course. So now you're able to do up to 80 hardwired zones on an IQ Panel 4 using these in a much more cost-effective way. And one of the things we did along with that is we launched what we call the new enclosure, or the large enclosure. You can see the part number on the screen here. It's got a slightly different part number for the large enclosure. And a lot of people have asked, hey, when's that going to ship? When am I going to be able to get that? I got good news for you. We're about 10 days away. April 15th, we begin shipping these. So we were very excited to start getting these larger enclosures out the door. And the biggest difference is that the large enclosure can fit 4 zone expanders, as you see here by the little blue rectangles, where the small enclosure only fits 2 zone expanders. The large enclosure also gives you a lot more space for wiring and things like that, which has been some of the complaints we've heard from the field. So again, this is really us listening, learning from you, iterating, making things better. Now we'll still offer the small enclosure. Maybe you don't always need the large enclosure or need all the zone expanders. So we're going to continue to offer both SKUs, both flavors, your kind of choice how you want to buy that. But again, a lot of really good feedback on this device when paired with an IQ Panel 4. And we showcased both enclosures at ISC West, and just heard a lot of good things about it. So we wanted to make sure you knew about that here. All right, so now we kind of get into a little bit more of the fun stuff, maybe what you were looking for here. All of the stuff you're going to hear about in the next few slides are things that are coming very soon. They're things we showed at ISC West, kind of been a long time coming, things you've been asking for, but maybe aren't quite yet ready, aren't quite shipping just yet. So the very first thing that we announced kind of new was IQ Remote PowerG. So if you're familiar with IQ Remote, of course, that's our secondary keypad, touchscreen keypad, I should say. And the touchscreen keypad today, as you know, IQ Remote is a Wi-Fi based keypad. And of course, that presents some challenges in and of itself, being based on Wi-Fi. We're going to get to some Wi-Fi here in a little bit, but we're super excited to have a PowerG keypad that's a touchscreen, and this is what it looks like here. It's called IQ Remote PowerG. So for this device, you'll be able to pair up to 11 total. You can actually connect 8 over PowerG, and an additional 3 if you just want the Wi-Fi support. Now the keypads do have PowerG and Wi-Fi on board both, so they actually support both protocols on the keypad. And you can do full security and automation over PowerG. So you don't have to have Wi-Fi. It's not required. If you do have Wi-Fi on board, you'll also be able to get video streaming to the touchscreen itself. So you'll be able to view the alarm.com cameras and doorbells, and also do software updates and things like that over Wi-Fi. But in the event that you didn't have Wi-Fi or you don't want to mess with the Wi-Fi, the real goal here is to be able to have a touchscreen keypad that is based on PowerG, that pairs to the panel simply and easily. And like I say with PowerG, it just works. That's really the goal here with this keypad. And so I know a lot of you guys are very excited about this. We've seen a lot of comments on social media. We've been hearing feedback about the secondary keypads as kind of a primary pain point for you for a lot of years now. We've continually, upgraded software and made the Wi-Fi connection as good as we can. And eventually we knew we had to make this on PowerG. And so we're pretty excited about this one, being able to kind of bridge that gap between Wi-Fi and PowerG. This should be out in about August. So what that means is, we're getting close to starting a beta program. If you're interested in beta testing this, put that in the chat. We'll mark you down. We'll get back to you. But we have units. We showed them there at ISC West. We're kind of entering the final stages here of development, and then we'll go to production, and hopefully you guys will be able to buy in August. So super excited about this one. Anything to add, Jeremy?
Just the encouragement on the beta. We need as much help as we can get to make this an awesome product. Your feedback is what drives these innovations. And, if you get involved and let your voice be heard, it really does influence the development that we do. So, please participate in the beta, chime in, share your thoughts and ideas. We can't guarantee that every idea that you ever have is going to make it into it, but we really do want to listen to it, and we try to make the best products we can. So thank you again to everyone who's participated up to this point, and all of you who are showing interest now.
And I'm checking the chat here as we're talking. I see a lot of people chiming in saying, sign me up for the beta, yep. Sign me up for the beta, sign me up for the beta. So definitely, I know that this is one that the field feels passionate about. Again, this is something we've been working very hard on for a long time, been a long time coming. So I think
IQ Remote's got kind of a bad rap, over the years because of some of the networks that we put it on. And we've got another thing that we're going to be talking about here shortly that's gonna, I believe, gonna fix that as well. So even IQ Remote's going to be improving based on this additional product. But the fact that you can do this over PowerG not only means that the reliability is going to increase because you're not dependent on that customer's network, but it also means that now you can put it a lot farther away than what that Wi-Fi network would reach. And instead of having to add a bunch of Wi-Fi range expanders, now you can put it out where PowerG reaches. And we all know that that range is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so now I'm going to talk about something you maybe haven't heard of. So I think a lot of you had kind of heard that a PowerG remote was coming. At some point, you just didn't know all the details about it. You didn't know when, you didn't know what it was going to look like. You didn't know some of the specs. But this is probably something that's brand new for just about everybody on this call. And we have been working on the next generation of PowerG technology, something that we call PowerG Plus. And this is something that we're really, really excited about, to take PowerG to that next level, beyond where it's been today. It really is by far the best wireless sensor technology on the market today. And we are reinvesting in PowerG, adding a lot of new features, and we'll be calling that PowerG Plus. So what is PowerG Plus? First, it's an all new look and feel. We've gone out to our most popular devices and we've redesigned the actual industrial design, the way they look, the way they go together. We want to have what we call a family look and feel. So devices look the same, they look like they belong together. They're sleeker, they're wider, they're more modern, they're curved. They go together easier, they take apart easier. So they're actually easier to install. So that was the first thing we wanted to do. The second thing we wanted to do was we wanted to be able to OTA the firmware. So you know that PowerG is bidirectional. You know that we can configure a lot of parameters on them. But historically, we haven't been able to actually update the actual firmware on the end device. And that's something we want to be able to do. Should we come up with a new change or something that we want to add in the future, we want to be able to do that. The other thing that gives us is the ability to actually lock the sensor to the panel. And so this adds some takeover protection. PowerG is already proprietary, pretty hard to take over. But if you had another PowerG dealer, they could potentially take it over if they wanted to. And this is going to be able to add some sensor locking capability to the PowerG protocol to help keep your accounts more secure. The other thing we wanted to do is make PowerG easier to pair into the panel. You've probably noticed that the devices were developed over a fairly long period of time. So some devices have a battery pull tab. Some devices you insert the battery. Other devices you have to press and hold the enroll button, but only for 3 seconds, not 4 seconds, not 2 seconds, and then wait for the LED. And so each PowerG device has kind of had a unique way of pairing. And once you're used to it, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're a new technician, kind of learning the quirks of each PowerG device can be a little bit cumbersome. And so we want that to be a much easier pairing process. So every new PowerG Plus device will learn in with a simple pull tab or QR code scanning from the actual panel camera itself. So they'll support both methods of pairing and it'll be much, much easier to get added to the system. And then one of the things I'm most excited about is real-time battery status percentage. So we'll actually be able to report the detailed voltage on the panel as well. And then we'll translate that into a more user-friendly battery percentage as well. So you'll be able to actually see, hey, this PowerG sensor is at 55%, this one's at 18%. That way, if you're on a service call, if you're looking at it remotely from alarm.com, it'll give you a lot better capability to be able to troubleshoot that device and maybe proactively replace batteries or see the battery status and not just kind of wait for that low battery to come in, at the time that it would normally come in. So this is something we're super excited. We're going to launch our first 5 devices also in August. Again, the 5 devices that we're going to launch first are our thin door window, the 9303, the full-size door window, the 9945, our residential motion detector, which is the 9914, our glass break, the 9922, as well as the repeater. We're also working on a key fob here, which you see in the lower right-hand side. That's a little bit further down the road. And then we have a whole, the rest of the line as well is getting refreshed. But these are kind of the top 5 devices that we're starting with PowerG Plus on. And again, so you'll see those kind of roll out here near the end of the summer.
PowerG Plus is going to be amazing, and it's been a blast as a marketing team to help, modify and improve the look and feel of these items, and I know that a lot of the features that are going into the guts of and a nice consistent look and feel across the family is great, but the real power comes in the guts. The real power comes in that software and the improvements we're making. And again, all that based on your feedback. So keep it coming, everyone. Thank you. You're the reason why these products become so great.
And I'm just checking the chat here again. I see a lot of people commenting on the chat, so keep those coming in. Hopefully the team is able to keep up with your Q&A here.
Yeah, I think they're doing okay with answering all the questions. I'm sure they're getting their fingers sore. Keep it coming, you
Perfect.
guys. Oh, and
All
we
right.
probably should be giving away some prizes at some point too. So you know, keep your chats coming, because anyone who's participating will definitely be eligible. So
Perfect. All right. So something that we internally are very, very excited about is our new mesh router called IQ Wi-Fi 6. Now, you're probably familiar with our first generation IQ Wi-Fi product. We just call that IQ Wi-Fi. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as Wi-Fi 5. It's a mesh network. This is the true next generation Wi-Fi called Wi-Fi 6. That's a specific Wi-Fi standard. Again, hopefully you've heard about this in the marketplace today. This is our latest and greatest mesh router, and we've made it, significantly better than the first generation router, actually, both because it's Wi-Fi 6, but also because of the integrations that we've done. So the biggest difference, people always, as soon as you start talking about routers, your mind instantly goes to what other routers are on the marketplace today. Well, there's Eero, and there's TP-Link, and there's Linksys and Network and D-Link, and there's all these different routers that are out there, right? And I think Eero is probably the easiest one to compare to. So people say, well, what's the difference between this and Eero? They're both mesh. They're both, Eero makes a Wi-Fi 6 router. We make a Wi-Fi 6 router. So what's the difference? I think the biggest difference, I always kind of say, well, look, a router is a router is a router, except for these integrations that we've done. And this is really where the value prop comes in for you, for our business, for our industry. I call it purpose-built. These are purpose-built routers for our industry. These are not just off-the-shelf Wi-Fi 6 routers. And so what that means is we do specific integrations both with the panel as well as with alarm.com. And so we really take this to the next step here, from the first generation Wi-Fi to the next generation Wi-Fi 6 router. The first is I want to show you a couple things here. These are these screenshots. So I've got two screenshots from the panel, both what we call an end user screenshot as well as an installer screenshot. On the end user side, we have this. You would swipe over to the end page here, and you actually get to see a bunch of different things for the router. So one of the goals here is to be able to allow the homeowner to control part of their network, right? And so with Wi-Fi 6, we actually create a separate partition inside the router. We have the main SSID and the guest network SSID, and we actually allow the homeowner to control and to manage that side of the network. And then we have a partitioned off network that's just for the security devices. And this is what we call the dealer side of the network. This is your network that the homeowner can't touch. And so we need to give you both that. We need to give access to both sides of the router or both sides of the network in software. And so on the panel side here, this allows the homeowner to completely manage their SSID. They can set up device profiles. So here that you can see that they can drop all the kids' devices into a kid's profile. They can pause that Wi-Fi network. Maybe it's dinner time. They can just walk over to the panel and simply hit pause, and it will turn off all the kids' devices off Wi-Fi. They can view their network map. They can turn on their guest network. This is a really cool feature. When they enable their guest network, it actually pops up a QR code. And so if they have guests over, the guests can just scan the QR code right off the panel screen, connect to the guest network, and they're off and running. They can do a speed test. So we give the end user a lot of ways to manage their network from the panel. We also allow them to see and manage their network from alarm.com. So we want that one app experience. So the end user from the end user alarm.com app or web portal will actually be able to see their IQ Wi-Fi, see their network, see which devices are connected to it. They can rename the SSIDs. They can change certain parameters on the router itself, all without affecting the actual security device's SSID. So the goal here is to allow you to set up the homeowner with an awesome Wi-Fi network. We hope that you sell it. We hope that you collect money for it. This isn't something you're just giving them away, that you're actually giving them awesome Wi-Fi in the home that they manage and they control and they can see, while also giving you a great network for your devices that you manage and you control and you see. So the bottom two screenshots are the dealer facing screenshots. This one here on the left is the panel UI. This is where a technician would go in and configure it. And again, this is designed to be easy to set up. We want the installer to be able to set up everything through the panel, just like he does for sensors and Z-Wave and lights, locks, thermostats, and all that whole easy pairing process from the panel. We want him to easily be able to set up the Wi-Fi network directly through the panel, so he doesn't have to take out a laptop or an internet device or something like that to actually configure this. He can just quickly configure it from the panel. He can enable or disable the end user page. He can set up the two different 2.4 and 5 gigahertz networks. He can change SSIDs. He can do all kinds of stuff directly from the panel that only the installer has access to. And then likewise on the Alarm.com partner portal, whether that's mobile tech or the full partner portal, you will actually be able to see the customer's Wi-Fi, remotely reboot the router, see which clients are connected to which SSID, and just get a whole host of troubleshooting and remote visibility into the router remotely from Alarm.com. So again, this is something we're super excited about. Not only is it a really great Wi-Fi 6 router in general, just to run the customer's entire home, but then the tools for them to self-manage the network on their end, and the tools for you to manage the security devices SSID on your end and on the installer end, both locally and remotely, is something that both JCI, Qualsys, and Alarm.com have been partnering on for a very long time. And so this is something that we're just really, really excited about. We are entering a beta really soon here. This month, actually, we'll be entering the beta. And we expect this to launch in June, possibly July. We'll see how the beta and the testing, the development goes. But we have units. These are just about ready to go. Again, the big value prop here is the Alarm.com remote management, the panel setup and management, mesh network up to 8 nodes. Each node covers 1,500 square feet, so it's expandable. You can pair cameras and doorbells and panels to it. We kind of run secret sauce on there to be able to help those stay connected. And this is Wi-Fi 6 certified. It also, we get a lot of questions. People ask if it supports OFDMA, which stands for some weird like orthogonal, something. I can't even tell you what it stands for, but it's a way that it actually breaks up the packets and makes it a lot more efficient. The way that it transmits the data back and forth between the clients simultaneously.
Ostriches for driving my automobiles.
There you go.
That's what it stands for. It's the technical. It's more technical. That's why we do it. That's why we abbreviate it. There's lots of questions about this in the chat, but I love some of the comments. Game changer. This is going to be great. This is what we really need. Wow. Yeah, and so many people interested in participating in the beta. So thank you everyone for your great comments. We're getting all your questions answered as well. I mentioned earlier about IQ Remote being a really great product, but being dependent on the customer's network and not always being as reliable, because that network isn't always reliable. IQ Wi-Fi 6 is going to fix a lot of those issues, and so it's very exciting to have that kind of secret sauce in the background, like Kevin was saying, where cameras, doorbells, and panels are all connecting together, making sure they work and function well, and they're not affected by the end user's network at all. So pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, and this is one of those poll questions, right? We asked you at the beginning, what's the majority of your truck rolls? I think it was something in the 30% neighborhood. Said 30% of your truck rolls are Wi-Fi based truck rolls.
Yeah.
So we hope to make that 0, right? We hope that when you sell or install this device, not only do they have great Wi-Fi in their house for themselves and for your devices, but then you're also given the remote tools to be able to manage and control this device, set those up, remotely reboot the router,
reduce some truck rolls, and make some money off of it too, whether you choose to just sell it up front and that's it, or you choose to add a little bit to their monthly bill to help give them a managed network that you can remotely control and support. I mean, I think there's opportunities for extra revenue for you on a monthly basis there too. So lots of cool things, and we'd love to hear your stories as you implement this. Again, we're also looking for stories and testimonials and case studies of IQ Wi-Fi 6 as you start the beta. Let us know what kind of things are happening, and we want to make those part of our marketing campaigns going forward.
Perfect. All right, so this is kind of just a quick review here. Of course, IQ Panel 4 has been out for a while now, but we were able to highlight it and show it there at the show. And the reason we're showing this here is this actually leads into the story a little bit of the next 2 products, both what I would kind of say is down market and up market. So I wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about IQ Panel 4. It really is what we consider our flagship panel. and something we highlighted at the show. As a quick recap, of course, it's got an 8-megapixel camera with what we call flex tilt, so you can aim it. I think something like 80-something% of you said you're already installing this based on the poll earlier today.
Right.
You've got quad sound speakers at the bottom. You've got what we call smart mount, where it can mount on a wall, it can mount on a table stand, it can mount on the IQ base. So lots of different ways to get this into the home and get it set up and running. But we did show something brand new at the show for IQ Panel 4, and that is actually pending Zigbee support. So this is something we're excited to announce. Now, Zigbee is not something that the security industry has used a lot of. We've pretty much standardized on Z-Wave. I would venture to say 100% of the people on this call do Z-Wave in some form or fashion, lights, locks, thermostats, whatever else it might be. That's really been something that our side of the industry has adopted over the last 10, 12 years quite heavily. But Zigbee is also out there in the marketplace today, and there's kind of two primary areas where we see Zigbee being used and where we see opportunity for you, and that's the reason that we've launched this. So what we showed at ISC West was an actual Zigbee daughter card, and you'll remember, if you know IQ Panel 4, that we have 3 daughter card slots in the back of the panel. The one on the left and the one on the right are used up. They're used for what we call dual SRF, right? So one of them is a PowerG daughter card. The other one is a legacy frequency daughter card, either 319 or 345 or 433, to support all those different devices that are installed today. The middle slot, if you've ever attended one of our trainings, is what we call the expansion slot. And we reserve that to develop new technology and to be able to add capability over time. And this is a perfect example of that. So we now have a Zigbee daughter card that can actually snap into the middle slot. You'll be able to buy it a la carte. You can take any of our IQ Panel 4s, as long as they're, this by the way is going to be supported in 4.2. So the next software to come out in about a month and a half, sometime in May, we'll be launching, we'll be selling this daughter card as well as launching the 4.2 software. And you'll be able to snap this into the back of a panel and support Zigbee. Now, a lot of you may ask, well, why do I want to support Zigbee? What does that do for me? And I mentioned that there's kind of 2 primary use cases today for Zigbee in North America. Outside of North America, Zigbee is much more widely adopted than Z-Wave. And so they may have different use cases outside of North America, but inside North America, there's kind of 2 primary use cases. One is that your competitor, Comcast or Xfinity Home, as they might be known, has been using Zigbee sensors, Zigbee door sensors, Zigbee motions, Zigbee security sensors for quite some time. And you may wander into those installs where they've had a bad experience with Comcast, and you might want to be able to take over those devices. And so we actually support, we'll post a list on our website when we roll this out. We support a host of Zigbee security sensors now with this daughter card. So you would be able to walk into a Comcast install, and just like you're previously taking over 345 sensors or 433 or 319, you'll now be able to take over Zigbee security sensors with this additional daughter card, which we think is pretty exciting because they have a fairly large install base. And we've had a lot of feedback from you guys over the years saying, hey, I want to be able to reuse some of those devices that the customer already purchased, and then maybe I'll add some PowerG. This really gives you the flexibility to do that. The other big one that we see out there is lighting, Zigbee lighting. And specifically, I've called out Philips Hue. Of all the lighting plays out there, whether it's smart light bulbs or things like that, I think Philips Hue has probably done the best job getting traction in the marketplace. And so there are millions and millions and millions of Zigbee bulbs and Zigbee lighting devices that are out there in the marketplace today. And again, this is more of a takeover story. I kind of doubt many of you are going to start carrying Philips Hue and reselling that product and installing new Zigbee light bulbs from scratch. I think you'll probably just stick with Z-Wave for anything new that you're adding. But again, being able to walk into an existing infrastructure that maybe already has a lot of Zigbee lighting and being able to reuse that and integrate that into what you're already doing today is really kind of the story that we're thinking about here. So again, Zigbee, I don't have a date on the screen here, but I would expect this to be out sometime in May, possibly June. It's dependent on the 4.2 software. This will be supported by Qualys JCI as well as Alarm.com. So we've been partnering closely on that and making that part of the 4.2 software update and getting this daughter card into production and allowing you to kind of add Zigbee support to any protocol or to any panel that's out there. So I don't know if there's any specific questions on Zigbee. Again, this might be new for some of
think
you.
you've answered most of them. As I look in the chat, we're running out of time, so let's keep on going. But there's a lot of great questions, and it looks like most of those are ones that are being covered by the presentation. But make sure if you do have a specific question that's not, make sure it gets in the chat and that the team has a chance to answer it for you.
All right. So with that, you're right. We've got about 10 minutes left. I think we'll blast through this here. So one of the other biggest announcements that we had at ISC West was what we're calling the new IQ Hub. And some of you may be familiar with our current IQ Hub. It's on our website. You can go check it out. You can see it and kind of what that means. This really is the next generation IQ Hub. So we continue to invest in this space. And if you think of, and I've got a graphic here at the end I'll show you, but if you think of IQ Panel 4 as kind of our flagship panel right in the middle of the segment, if you want to go down market, maybe you don't need all the flagship
Dual
features.
SRF, the built-in camera, things like that.
Yeah, then IQ Hub is the way to go, right? So this is a little bit more cost-effective way to get an IQ style panel inside the home. One of the biggest differences here is this is an IQ Panel 4. At its core, this is the latest and greatest, the newest generation chipset, the 8-core processor, the dual path, the LTE, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, the 7-inch screen. What we do is we basically just create a way to have a more cost-effective offering. So the vast majority of the things are the same as IQ Panel 4 today, but we remove some things to be able to reduce some costs. So we remove the camera, as you saw, there's no camera on the screen. We removed the panel glass break and two-way voice. We went from 4 speakers to 2. And probably the other biggest difference is that we don't support dual SRF. So instead of having PowerG and 319, 345, 433, we just have one of those two, right? So it could be a PowerG only panel. It could be a 319 only panel if that's what you're running into, or if you use a lot of S-line sensors. It could be a 345 only panel. Maybe you have a large install base of Honeywell panels you want to upgrade, and they all have 345 megahertz in there. You could take the 345 only panel at a very cost-effective way, or 433 only. Maybe you have a bunch of old Impasa panels out there you want to upgrade, and you just need 433 to get that done. This is a great way to do that. So again, this is a segment that we're investing in. We're very excited about this cost-reduced version. We call it IQ Hub, or you might see us call it IQ4 Hub. And again, this is the second generation of the actual hub-style product, or the cost-reduced product. And this should be coming out in August. So again, it's coming very, very fast. We're excited about it. We're in development now. We will rope you guys into a beta as that time comes, no doubt. But this is just something that we're really excited about. And we got a lot of good feedback at ISC West, especially for specific verticals. Maybe it's smart apartments or MDU that you're getting into, and they don't want a camera, right?
Well, that's precisely what I was going to say, Kevin. There's situations where, like in a rental thing, where you're going to say, hey, I want to put an IQ Hub in every single building in this apartment, but because it's put in by the landlord and it's not put in by the homeowner, it almost feels a little weird for a renter to come in, and now there's a camera that's supposedly managed by somebody else, and is it viewable by somebody else? So having something like that really puts a little bit, their mind at ease. Now, obviously, there's some things we can do if you're doing IQ Panel in those situations. There's some really great things you can use as part of that. Like being able to do unattended showings, or finding out, getting pictures of when service professionals come into the home and things like that. So there's trade-offs both ways, but the best thing here is it's options, it's flexibility. No matter what type of scenario you're finding yourself in, whether you want that flagship product or you want that, more affordable product, we've got a solution for you.
Yeah, that's well said, Jeremy. And I didn't have it marked on the screen here, but it does still have Z-Wave, right? And so we have a lot of people doing automation only. They're not even adding security to start, but they want the ability to add security down the road, or they need to add flood sensors as part of the automation package. So again, just a really cost-effective way to go into certain verticals, whether it's builder or smart apartments or short-term rentals like Airbnb or whatever it is, the wellness. This can be a great way to get a panel in there at a cost-reduced rate. All right, and then quickly with the remainder of the time here, I'm going to talk about IQ Pro. So if you think about IQ Panel 4 as the flagship, kind of middle of the road for us, we go down market slightly to IQ Hub, and then I like to think of it as going up market to IQ Pro. And this is something that we're really excited about. We got a lot of feedback on social media from some of you at ISC West about IQ Pro, and this is what I would call our true next generation hybrid panel. This really is taking the best of IQ Panel 4 and the best of the DSC Neo today and putting them together into a single enclosure. In fact, that's exactly what we did. We took the brains of an IQ Panel 4, that Qualcomm SOM system on a module, the 8-core processor, the easy installation and programming, the dual SRF, the dual path, the software updates and upgrades, and we literally married that with a Neo, where you get all the hardwire capability and the flex, the ability to add a PowerG host remotely, and all the core bus modules and keypads and partitions. And so this really is a true marriage of Qualsys and DSC to come out with that next generation hybrid platform and we call that IQ Pro. So to start, and again, this will get better over time. This will receive software updates just like all of our products. But to start, up to 8 partitions, 128 zones, 16 secondary keypads, 148 PGMs. It has a built-in LTE communicator, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, everything you're used to on IQ Panel. Same UI as IQ Panel 4. That means you'll have a nice touchscreen option. You'll have rubber number pad options. You'll have hardwire and wireless. You can do IQ Remote. You can do IQ Remote PowerG. All the Neo keypad support and core bus modules. And this will actually program through a very easy installer app. So if you know IQ Panel 4, you know that we have a local access point. We bring that over to IQ Pro. You enable the access point. You pair your phone directly to it. And then all of a sudden, you get a UI interface to actually program directly from your phone, connected locally and instantly to the panel. And the programming is just like the IQ style programming, drop-down menu based, menu-driven drop-down style programming, very, very easy to set up and use. And the goal here is that whether you're an installer, a service tech support, customer care, no matter where you are in the organization, if you're working on an IQ Hub, an IQ Panel 4, or an IQ Pro, basically everything is the same. These are all a continuation of each other. This becomes a single platform for every application where you can actually set up, manage, and install that across the board. They all have the same alarm.com integration, and they're really just targeted at these different verticals or these different segments. And so this is kind of the ending graphic. This hopefully gives you a vision of where we are today, but also where we're headed. And these two over here on the right-hand side is where you see us continuing to go up market with something we call IQ Pro Plus and IQ Pro Fire, which we'll leave for another time. But today we'll have IQ Panel 4 right here in the middle. We'll have IQ 4 Hub as a cost-reduced variant, and IQ Pro as our true kind of flagship hybrid commercial panel. And you also see the little graphic here. This main motherboard, this IQ Panel 4 motherboard, literally sits inside every single one of these products. And so we get that scalability across the line, whether it's manufacturing or software or installation or whatever it might be. This is something that we're super excited about to build on for the future. With that, Jeremy, that's all I have.
We've covered so much today, and I'm curious to know of the following products that are available now, the ones that we shared earlier. What are you more interested in learning about? Choose all that apply. Is it the photoelectric beams? Being able to add PowerG to those photoelectric beam technologies? Is it IQ lockdown? Is it IQ water valve, hardwire PowerG? Or IQ Panel 4. You know, and again, choose all that apply. Maybe you're interested in learning about many of these. We've got a lot of really cool innovations that you can go out and start implementing today. And if you're not looking at every single install and saying, hey, how can I add more value for me? How can I put more money in my own pocket? How can I get my customers even more loyal to me, give them more control? You know, these products specifically that are available today are going to help you do that. And we'd love to help you with marketing. We'd love to help you with technical support. We'd love to help you understand how it might apply to a particular situation. You know, that's we would love to participate with you in making these a reality in your installs. And then secondly, of the products that are coming soon, which products are you most interested in? And again, oh, this is supposed to be a choose all that apply. Hold on, I'm going to close this again. I did it again. I get so eager to get these polls done that I forget to make the change. So I'm going to edit this. Of the products that are coming soon, we need multiple answers. Update. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Really appreciate this. Okay. So of the products that are coming soon, which are you most interested in? Choose all that apply here. Is it IQ Remote PowerG? The ability to add an IQ Remote in amazing long places because you're using PowerG for it and still be able to do your automation and your security and life safety and access the user interface the same as you could on the primary IQ panel. Is it PowerG Plus, the new devices we're announcing and the new enhancements we're making to PowerG? Is it IQ Wi-Fi 6, an amazing new way to improve the quality of service you provide on cameras, on IQ remotes, on IQ panel, to be able to provide some extra value to your customer with a better, faster network that's got meshing and checks all the boxes that you would normally get with an off-the-shelf solution, but is purpose-built for you and your situation. Is it IQ panel? Is it IQ Hub? I've got IQ Panel Hub. There's supposed to be just IQ Hub. IQ Hub that allows you to be able to integrate all of the various scenarios you've got, whether that's a down market type solution or an up market solution, because you'll have an extra choice. Or is it IQ Pro? IQ Pro is the ability, of course, to have that true hybrid experience, like Kevin said, the true hybrid experience between an IQ panel and an IQ Neo. Get the best of both worlds all in one place in a true hybrid panel, purpose built for the commercial industry. So lots of great stuff. Thank you everyone for sharing those polls. You're sharing your information in the polls, and I want to throw out a couple giveaways here as I look at all the different people that are asking questions. I can't thank you enough for all the comments you've made, all the questions you've done, and everyone that's participated today. We're going to do a couple random drawings for some prize packs that we'll send out to the address that you used to register today. So Kevin, why don't you give me a number between 1 and 500? Pick one randomly.
Yeah, 348.
348. Okay, let me go into our attendees and see who our winner is. 348. It looks like Josh Coutinho, Cutugno. Josh, if you're out there, I hope you are. Chime in here, say hello. We'll need to make sure that we get your address and the shirt size you want and things like that, so we can send you a great prize pack. Kevin, give me another number. Any number between 1 and 500.
12.
12. All right. 1, 2, 3. There's 12. Is Andy Vasquez. Andy Vasquez, congratulations. You get a prize pack as well. Let's do one more. Kevin, give me another number.
1.
1. Adam Anderson, congratulations, you win. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating today. Again, this has all been recorded. We hope you've loved it. We hope you'll share it with your friends and your colleagues that would get value from this information. We'll have that up on our YouTube page later today. We'll also be sharing a link in the email, the follow-up email tomorrow. And if you mention that you want some additional information or some additional help, or want to participate in betas, we're going to be responding to all that. So watch for a representative from our organization reaching out to you to help get that started for you. Thank you again to everyone, and a special thank you to Whitney, to Mark, and to Nate for handling all those questions. I'm sure you guys are ready for a rest now. There was a lot of questions that came in, a lot of comments you guys made, and I think they did a great job. So give them a great hand for us. Thank you, and we will see you again very soon.
Thanks, guys.